Good morning. Oh dear. Hello, folks. I hope you can find me. I saw some of you were already on the other channel and it glitched. The live stream wasn't available. So I'm starting another one and I hope you can find me. I might just put a quick message over on Facebook to let folks know where we are. Let's see, how will I do that? Sorry. Hey folks, the live stream glitched. Check YouTube TNI homepage. Let's see if that finds folks. Oh, okay, it looks like there's two people found me. Hope the rest of you can make your way over. It's funny, ironic. I was just talking to someone this morning about this issue. We used to post the exact link to the video and then things like this would happen, which happened this morning when you click go live and it says live stream not available. So you have to start again and hope people find it. All right. Well, I'm going to just have to let go. I see there's a few folks here. Hey, Zach, thanks for finding. We had a little tech glitch. And hello to other folks that are coming on. Hey, Terry, you found it. Great. You were on the first one too, right? Was it tricky to find the change? Or does it pop up? Maybe someone could let me know what that's like because I haven't experienced that from your end. Okay, good morning. Hey, Natalie. Oh, I hope Tulu couldn't find it because I know she was trying to get onto the video. Yeah, and other folks on the other one. Oh, and then it pops up. Awesome. Okay, that's a relief. Good. Well, oh, good. Great. It's good to be late sometimes. All right. Well, I hope folks that were on the first one that glitched are able to find their way here. So welcome, True North Insight YouTube channel. And I'm one of the Dharma teachers with True North Insight. We teach retreats and mentorships and support people with their individual practice as well. I think I'll pause for a moment before I start talking more. So if it's helpful to you, please pause with me. Feel the ground. Okay, so at the last talk, which was Wednesday night, I had started I thought it was going to be a three-part series on dukkha and the three kinds of dukkha. And the first one was the dukkha of dukkha, suffering of suffering. And today was meant to be the next one, Viparani something, the dukkha of impermanence. But it didn't feel right to do that today because it's not what was feeling timely, urgent to talk about. And because within myself, I was very busy the last few days with a lot of painting and stuff, just wall painting. And Um, so I wasn't really paying too much attention to what was happening internally, but when I did pause, um, I felt like there was a lot of, I was like, what's going on with me? And the first thought was grief. There's a lot of grief here. And then when I tried, I was like, oh, how does that feel in the body? And I kind of felt the bodily sensations. It didn't really feel like grief sensations typically feel. It was more kind of numb and upward and outward and contracted, not like the usual kind of lump in my throat or achy heart. And so I was like, oh, this is anger. um, and when I acknowledged this was anger, then I could feel the grief, which is still really more present for me now than the anger. And of course, this is in response to the heart's response to seeing George Floyd being murdered, and you know that connection of so many racist murders, um, as well as the overwhelming oppressions and violences in the world. Uh, yeah, so I wanted to talk about this, about anger, because for me, I was like, oh, when I identified anger and then the grief that was underneath the anger, and then also realizing that for many folks, especially people of color, the fear, or for women, or for children, or for a vulnerable person that's experiencing violence, it's not just women, of course, but predominantly, statistically. And good, thanks, Linda. That's helpful. And lost my train of thought there. Yeah, talking about anger and grief, and also how many people are living with fear that may be even deeper than that, or maybe the fear feels foremost, and then under that is anger and grief. It depends on the day and how these things layer for us. So for me, I turn to the suttas and the practice. I'm like, okay, what's the right way to deal with this? And I looked at a couple different things. So here we go. And I'd like to anchor in this poem that, the synchronicity of life. Yes. Very overwhelming. Absolutely, Julie. Thank you for sharing that. It's so much at once right now. This poem came with the synchronicity just last night, one I hadn't heard before, and it is from my favorite poet, Rosemary Watola Tromer. And I've put the link for it down below, so please check out her page, and you can subscribe to receive a poem every day, and they're very uplifting and honest and touching. And so this one is called Directions, and I think she actually wrote this in 2016. It's not the path that has disappeared. It is only that stunned with grief and kicked by fear, we sometimes lose our will to put one foot in front of the other. But we are not lost. Already in the dark we have found each other. What astonishes is that there are so many of us, and already we are building bridges made of light. The world shakes, we stumble, and we help each other rise. And now it is time for us again to put one foot in front of the other. Not to escape what frightens us, but to walk unflinchingly toward the messy center of things. The path we choose now is not one we've walked or even seen before. The path is one that appears beneath our feet with each step as we persist, travelers in the frozen dark who begin to see the light as it shapes the horizon. And know, though it's cold, that the change we dream of has already begun to arrive. Rosemary Watola Tromer. Stunned with grief, kicked by fear, feeling overwhelmed, like we can't put. Oh, thanks for, yeah, the link broke this morning, so we had to start again. I'm glad you found us. So it's at times like this when all of, as Julie mentioned, all of these layers of overwhelm, grief, fear, despair, helplessness, anger, it's times like this we really need to be vigilant and really be careful about our system, because we will be triggered into we can be triggered into unskillful reactivity. Anger and hatred are contagious, viral, and they burn us, and they burn others. It burns. And over and over through the teachings, the Buddha taught that others may be harmful, but I commit, I intend, I work, I practice to be harmless, to not cause more harm in the world. Thus, I should train myself. And so we train, we practice, we come together, we support each other, we take each other's hands, and we get up again, we take another step. Heartbreakingly. But in every chance, in every opportunity, in every moment, in every time we put another foot in front of the past foot, there is the possibility of removing hatred, removing jealousy, removing violence from our minds, from our mind and heart, chitta, heart, mind. In Angutta Nikaya, number 95, I think, it's written it's also in Samyutta Nikaya, but as a log from a pyre that's burnt at both ends and fouled in the middle. Actually, in one of the suttas, it's the middle is covered in excrement. Yeah, so I'm glad you found it, Kath. So the both ends are already burnt into charcoal, and the middle is fouled. So this serves neither as firewood for the village nor timber in the forest. So is such a wrathful man or wrathful person, so that it's of no service. It can't warm and create safe light and nurturing because it's burned and fouled. So this is what anger does to us. And we can see that others and ourselves at times, when we are subject to anger, start to pay attention to the effect of that, the sensation of it, the ache of it, the burn of it, the dukkha of it. the and as it said, he one has done wrong, being subject to anger. Should I too follow one, making my mind subject to anger? Is it not foolish to imitate this being? Their harboring of hatred destroys them internally. Why should I, on their account, destroy my reputation? I almost shared another fake Buddha quote. I actually did in the thing, and then I countered it with the actual quote. But it's often said that anger is like picking up a hot coal to throw at someone else, and it burns us, of course, in the process. And that's, based on truth and based on the teachings, but it's not exactly from the suttas. What's actually how it is said is actually from the Visuddhimagga. What's his name? The Visuddhimagga. It's not coming to me right now, but it will. Okay. By doing this, you are like one who wants to hit another and picks up a burning ember or excrement in your hand, and so burns oneself or makes oneself stink. I like that. I wish that had been left in when people make these, short, pithy quotes. It's covered in excrement, and you're picking it up to throw the anger back at someone else, and then you actually end up getting burned and stinking. Buddhaghosa wrote the Visuddhimagga, which is a commentary. Just for those that are interested, don't worry about it if you're not. So we need to guard the mind and heart and body. And one of the ways we do this is by developing the skillful qualities. There's many ways of understanding anger, and so I've just kind of chosen the ones that seem relevant and approachable for me and hopefully for you. I couldn't find this story, but I've heard it many times. So I know there's some accuracy in it, and I couldn't grab the right source. I did look quite a bit, but His Holiness the Dalai Lama I'm pretty sure I've heard him saying this story or someone recounting it. Drat. Of a monk that when China invaded Tibet and they imprisoned a lot of monastics that they could get their hands on. And this monk was imprisoned for, I can't say the exact, like a long number of years, and was tortured a lot. And when he was finally freed and made it to India and met with the Dalai Lama, he was asked, about his experience, and he said, I was in grave danger. And the Dalai Lama said, oh, of grave danger of being tortured. And he said, no, I was tortured almost daily or daily. I was in grave danger of becoming angry. Can you imagine? Good morning, Kiti. I'm glad you found us. Yeah, grave danger. So this person for many years was tortured and imprisoned, and many near starvation, and the grave danger he felt was that his heart was in danger of becoming angry. Wow. So, and it's also interesting to look at how anger, like some all the different ways it can show in a being. Some folks are really coarse in their language. Their language seems very angry, but their mind and their actions are not. I have a friend like this, a friend of the family that um, they just always yell. That's just how they talk. They're just yelling all the time. I find it really difficult because it seems so angry. Um, but their actions and their heart are quite kind. And others are really coarse or cruel in their deeds, but their speech um, uh, can be quite sweet. Yeah. Um, so, there's all these different ways of mind, speech, and action that this can show up. Hmm. There's a lovely story of, it's called The Reveler. And the Buddha was staying at the Valavana Monastery. Uh, and there was a Brahmin there, Bharadvaja, from the Bharadvaja clan, um, who was later called the Reveler. And when he learned that one of his clan had gone forth from the home life to become a monk, and he went to follow the recluse, uh, to, to follow Gautama Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, before he became the Buddha. I'm so glad you found us, Monty. There was a break in the link and we had to start again. So when this reveler, we'll just say for short, he was very angry and displeased when he found that someone from his clan had gone to follow the Buddha. And so in that mind state of being angry and displeased, he went to find the Buddha and give him his 2 cents. When he arrived, he reviled and abused him in rude and harsh speech. And that's spoken to then. Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, said, "How is it, Brahman? Do you sometimes receive visits from friends, relatives, or other guests? Yes, Master Gautama, I sometimes have visitors. When they come, do you offer them various kinds of foods and a place for resting? Yeah, sometimes I do. Yay. I'm glad you're here, Supriya. But if, Brahman, your visitors do not accept what you offer your guests food and comfort, and they don't accept it, then who does it belong to? If your guest doesn't accept it, well, if they don't accept it, then it remains with us. It's still mine. And then it is just so. It is just so in this case, Brahman. You revile us who do not revile in return. You scold us who do not scold in return. You abuse us who do not abuse in return. So we do not accept it from you, and hence it remains with you. It belongs to you. Yeah. So we're offered all kinds of gifts. And sometimes the gifts are very hurtful and angry and violent. And if we don't accept that, if we don't take that, ingest that into our being, it remains, it belongs to the owner of that karma. It belongs to the one who is speaking and acting in that way. It's so important to protect ourselves and to not ingest it. Don't take it in, because if you do, it's going to come back out onto others. Then we're being violent. Um, so we'll talk about, I mean, this is so connected with wise effort and with wise action. And how do we respond? Well, you know, this system just gets triggered, feels angry. We're, you know, if maybe some of you are enlightened beings, this one is not. And so I still definitely experience all of it, the whole thing, you know, and reactivity. And, you know, so this is still going to happen to us. This trigger, this reactivity, this anger, this rage, this grief, frustration, despair, uh, overwhelm, all of this. What and how do we respond skillfully? Um, how do we act? We're not just supposed to just take care of ourselves and just just like white light this business and put on my rose-colored glasses and clear my chakras. Uh, it's do your work, feel what's touched, like in that poem. You know, we are stunned by grief and kicked by fear, and we lose our way. But we have found each other. Ugh, what a blessing. Oh, what a blessing to have community and Sangha. Please reach out if you're not feeling enough of that. There's a lot of good people. You know, fill your news feed with some good people that are fighting for justice. So what I want to say is that we can fight for justice. We are called to, compassion is a call to action. When we see suffering, we are called to act. Compassion is not just like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's so terrible that that's happening to you. That's not compassion. That is false compassion. Compassion is action. It's by the heart connecting to the suffering of others and ourselves, all beings, that we act. So I'm not in any way saying that we shouldn't be doing that, but we do not need to ingest the anger into our being. When anger is triggered within us, because we still have the latent defilements, as they're called, we still have greed, hatred, and delusion within us, that needs attending. And a lot of, like, you know, as I was describing that I found yesterday, even just acknowledging, oh, anger is here. Then that dissipated and the grief now is more there. And now as I attend to the grief, you know, that will change and another response will show hopefully more compassion. Okay. Okay, I really want to share this great story. You're welcome, Rebecca. This one is truly written as a story, but it is from the this one. Oh, did I not write down the translator? It's based on the Samyutta Nikaya. It's called The Anger Eating Demon. I was looking at images, you know, to make a post on Facebook for an anger eating demon, and they were way too terrifying to post. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, that's not good. So you can imagine what an anger eating demon might look like for you. So this is a great story. Let me see. Where's page 4? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, oh, there's the author. I did. Yay, good for me. Jnana Ponika Thera retold this ancient Buddhist story. of the anger-eating demon. Once there lived a demon who had a peculiar diet. In the story, it's called a he. I'll try to say they when I can remember. They fed on the anger of others, and their feeding ground was the human world, because there was no lack of food for them there. They feed on anger. They found it quite easy to provoke a family quarrel or national or racial hatred. Even to stir up a war was not difficult for them. And whenever they succeeded in causing a war, they could properly gorge themselves without much further effort. Because once a war starts, hate multiplies by its own momentum. Yes, we know this. And it affects even normally friendly people. So the anger-eating demon, pretty easy just to stir up division and separation and hatred to the extent that it causes a war. And then this demon can just sit back and gorge on the anger and get very full. Because once it starts, it has this horrific momentum, and it consumes even normally friendly people. But as it often happens with a successful demon or a successful person, they become rather overbearing and greedy. And one day, this demon got bored and thought, shouldn't I try this with the gods? And so, on reflection, they chose the heaven of the 33 deities, ruled by Sakya, Lord of the gods. He knew that only a few of the gods had entirely eliminated the fetters of ill will and aversion, and that they were, of course, far above petty quarrels and such, but they hadn't completely uprooted the defilements within them. So this demon, see, I said him, they decided to go to the heavenly realms and see what they could stir up there, because, it's boring here. It's so easy to cause anger here. Off they go. So, by magic power, they transferred themselves to the heavenly realm and were lucky enough to come at a time when Sakya, the divine king, was absent. There was none in the large audience hall, and without much ado, the demons seated themselves on Sakya's empty throne, waiting quietly for things to happen. Oh, it's going to get good. Just sitting there, squatting on the throne. Sakya's out. Bam. Let's just wait and see. Waiting for things to happen which they hoped would bring them a good feed. Soon, some of the gods came to the hall, and first they could hardly believe their own divine eyes. When they saw that ugly demon sitting on the throne, squat and grinning. Having recovered from their shock, they started to shout and lament, "Oh, you ugly demon, how can you dare to sit on the throne of our Lord? What utter cheekiness, what a crime!" Cheekiness. "You should be thrown headlong into hell and straight into a boiling cauldron. You should be quartered alive. Be gone, be gone." While the gods were growing more and more angry, the demon was quite pleased, because from moment to moment he grew in size, in strength, in power. They grew in size, in strength, in power. The anger they absorbed into their system started to ooze from their body as a smoky red glowing mist. Right? Have you noticed that? Gosh, I'll just segue here. I remember catching myself in the mirror. I'll never forget this. Maybe I might. late teens, yeah, mid-teens, and something had happened with my brother and I used to fight like, whoa, wow, big wow. And I had all this adrenaline in me from fear and anger, and I walked past the mirror and I caught a glimpse of myself, and I was like, whoa, right? Like this red mist can ooze from you. You become ugly. Or I did anyways. Maybe not you. So it starts to ooze from their body as a smoky red glowing mist. And this evil aura kept the gods at a distance, and their radiance was diminished. Right? It's so contagious. And it diminishes the radiance of others. Okay, then suddenly a bright glow appeared at the other end of the hall. It grew into a dazzling light from which Sakya emerged. Sakya was the king of the gods in the story, and Sakya has completely uprooted the defilements, had reached Nibbana, or was on the stream leading to Nibbana. And so entering was unshaken by what they saw. The smoke screen created by the gods' anger parted when he slowly and politely approached the usurper of his throne. Right? That reminds me of another story. Take the one seat. It's a great story. Welcome, friend. Please remain seated. I can take another chair. May I offer you the drink of hospitality? Our Amrita is not bad this year, or do you prefer a stronger brew, the Vedic Soma? While Sakya spoke these friendly words, the demon rapidly shrank to a diminutive size and finally disappeared, trailing behind a whiff of malodorous smoke, which likewise soon dissolved. Yeah, so now we are in the throes of anger-eating demons, and it can choke out our light, and it can consume us, and the fires of hate that are within us can be stoked so easily. It's just an ember waiting for a little breeze, and we have to stay so vigilant. We have to stay connected. We have to practice. Because if this time of self-destructive, world-destructive, if we want to say demonic forces, and I don't mean demonic as in other than us, is to cease, it has to end here. It has to end here. So these demons of hate can be exercised by the power of gentleness and love, and connection and compassion, and action. So sometimes some of the strongest Dharma teachers are quite direct, might seem sharp or harsh sometimes, but it's absolutely motivated by love. So we can be very clear and direct in our actions and words as we respond to this world situation, and when to respond to violence, to respond to hatred. We speak up, but be careful where that speaking is coming from. Be careful what's being sparked within you. Of course, in the Dhammapada, it says not by hate, Not by hating hatred ceases. In this world of tooth and claw, love alone from hate releases. This is the eternal love, the eternal law. So it's only by love that hatred ceases. Yeah, the guest house. Thank you. Oh, there's so many good stories I want to share with you. Okay, so we're going to do practice, but I want to let you know that this practice of metta, loving kindness, is not Pollyanna is what the word is. Not oh, let's just think nice thoughts and make that anger go away. It's actually, there's a story of a raging elephant that I think it's drunken and raging elephant that was sent to try by the Buddha's cousin to try and kill him, and was trampling towards him to kill the Buddha. And the Buddha chanted metta, and the elephant, was subdued and tamed, and there's a. But if you think that's like, yeah, right. Some of us have heard this story from our teacher, and it's from my teacher's lips to my ear, and it was from his direct experience of what he witnessed happening. So it can't get much closer than that unless it was my direct experience. And in India, in a meditation hall, very, very difficult retreat, very difficult conditions, extremely painful body, heart, and mind. Boy, I can relate to that. And long retreat, hot, cement, flies, mosquitoes, physical pain. And the teacher's way up at the front, and all these rows of students. And from the back, this woman gets up, absolutely consumed by rage. This happened to me. This started my path with the Dharma. But I didn't get up from my seat in rage. It was all internal until it ended. So she gets up and starts yelling and going down the center aisle right at the teacher, yelling the whole time, what is this, and you are, and what the, all the things I would have wanted to say. And storming, just like that raging drunken elephant, storming right at this teacher sitting at the front. And all those other students are just like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And the teacher starts chanting the Metta Sutta. Just chanting the Metta Sutta, sending her so much love, opening his heart to compassion and love. And by the time she reached the steps, she crumbled into his lap and wept. So metta is not just a nice thoughts. It's a powerful practice. Okay, let's practice. It looks like I need an hour and a half for these sessions because I can't. I'm sorry. I'd love it if folks could let me know sometime if you prefer more of a sit. Personally, I find meditating in front of a computer quite distasteful, unpleasant. I'd rather go meditate some other time. So I like sharing the Dharma with a little sit. But if you, if I hear from folks that, yeah, let's shorten up these talks. Hour and a half, really. Folks, please let me know. I could lengthen the time. It would be nice to have a longer sit, but I can't seem to shorten my talks. It's really hard. I do try. Only 2 hours. Right on, Patty. Nailed it. Oh, that was good. Okay. Take a breath. Oh, God. Feel the ground. Feel your intention. Please, dear ones, feel your intention. I know you are all here because of your intention to grow in skillfulness, wise wisdom, heartfulness, compassion. I know you're here because perhaps some of you, this topic of anger touched, acknowledging there's anger stirred here within me, as well as so many of these other emotions and mind states. And feel into what's here for you right now and your intention to cultivate what is skillful. And there's different ways of practicing loving kindness meditation, and this is one of the ways that we're going to practice today. And this way is kind of a radiating practice. The intentions here are wishing for ourselves and for all beings in all directions. May they be free from hostility. May they be free from affliction. This means free of pain and suffering, physical suffering. May they be free from distress. This means the absence of mental suffering, anguish, and anxiety. And may they live happily. And it's only when we are free from hostility, affliction, and distress that one can live happily. And so this practice always begins with ourselves. And then just touch into this deep wish and why you're here today and why we're practicing. May I be free from hostility. May I be free from affliction. May I be free from distress. May I live happily. Just silently repeat these phrases a few more times for yourself. May I be free from hostility. May I be free from affliction. May I be free from distress. So that I can live happily. And now from your deep being, your heart center, bring into awareness any others that may reside in your home near you. Animal beings, other family, friends. If you live alone, you can extend that to those that have visited your home. May all those dwelling in, visiting this house, be free from hostility, free from affliction, free from distress. And may they live happily. Just rest for a few moments of silence here with this heart wish for all that have entered your home or live in your home. Now bring into your heart awareness the next homes near yours. On either side, front, behind, whatever you can, just a direct connection with what's near you. And all of the residents in those homes. May all those dwelling in these homes be free from affliction, free from distress, free from hostility. May they live happily. And now, without over conceptualizing this, just trust the heart's capacity to expand is infinite, is boundless. So it's not a thinking, visualizing, it's a heart intention. And just let your heart intention keep expanding like ripples into the neighboring homes, the next house, the next apartment, the next street. Waves and waves. The churches, the schools, the stores, the people that are without homes. Include all the beings. The entire neighborhood. Abundance. May you be free from hostility, free from affliction, free from distress. May you live happily. There's no borders and boundaries between anything. These are all delusions. The neighborhood is touching other neighborhoods. Circles on circles on circles. Expand into neighborhoods, connecting to neighborhoods. The heart sensing into the whole city, community, neighborhood, district, whatever labels are helpful for you. No one is exempt. No one is exempt. May you be free from hostility. May you be free from affliction. May you be free from distress. May you live happily. With each breath, with each moment, keep expanding awareness beyond your concepts. Cities joining into provinces or states. Provinces and states connecting in all directions, east and south, west and north. Covering the whole country, regardless of class, race, sect, religion, gender. May everyone in this sacred land abide in peace and well-being. May there be no war, no strife, no misfortune. May we all radiate friendliness and compassion, wisdom. May all enjoy peace, safety. And now keep expanding beyond the country, over mountains and lakes, not thinking, just feeling. Trust. Grow this capacity, country by country, across the oceans, all the little islands, all the places you've never seen and never will see with your eyes. All the people. All the continents. The whole globe flooded thoroughly and evenly enveloped, all beings in universal love. May you be free from hostility. May you be free from affliction. May you be free from distress. May you be supported. May you be protected. May you know love. Thank you for your practice and for your loving support that I receive and feel, and that True North Insight receives and feels from your Donna as you're able to give. I put the link down below for a fundraiser that's coming up for True North Insight with Joseph Goldstein, Pascal Auclair, and Roxanne Doe. I found out how to pronounce her name properly, and I'm so sorry for not knowing how to pronounce French. Canadian. Should know. And Roxanne Doe. Anyways, fundraiser for True North Insight. So an online retreat, a very probably like very rare opportunity coming up there. So check that out. It's down below, as well as a link to support me if you're able. And thank you for that. It's 10:01. I did put the link for Rosemary's poem down below, directions, but I would like to just end by reading it again. And if you need to go now, that's okay. I like to honor the time commitment that I've made here. So let's leave with this direction. Directions. It's not that the path has disappeared. It's only that stunned with grief and kicked by fear, we sometimes lose our will to put one foot in front of the other. But we are not lost. Already here in this dark, we have found each other. What astonishes is that there are so many of us, and already we are building bridges made of light. The world shakes, we stumble, and we help each other rise. And now it is time for us again to put one foot in front of the other, not to escape what frightens us, but to walk unflinchingly toward the messy center of things. The path we choose now is not the one we've walked or even seen before. The path is the one that appears beneath our feet with each step, and we persist. Travelers in the frozen dark who begin to see the light as it shapes the horizon and know, though it's cold, that the change we dream of has already begun to arrive. Thank you, Rosemary. Wow. Thank you all for being here. Courage, my loves. Thank you, Elaine.